الحمد لله الواحد القهار العزيز الغفار مكور الليل على النهار تذكرة لأولي القلوب والأبصار وتبصرة لذوي الألباب والاعتبار. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله البر الكريم الرؤوف الرحيم. ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله وحبيبه وخليله الهادي إلى صراط المستقيم والداعي إلى دين قويم صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسائر النبيين. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Dear respected elders and honorable brothers, beloved students and colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It was not my intention to come and give a long lecture or a bayan, rather to just have a casual discussion. Just as, mashallah, you are studying, I am also a student. And just like our students like to talk in class, we are just having our conversation. So the big scholars are here on the side. Inshallah, we'll have our own conversation on one side. From where do we start and where do we end when it comes to the may the history of the world Masjid Al-Aqsa is existent. It comes in a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that أي مسجد وضع في الأرض أول. O Prophet of Allah, which masjid was first built upon earth? And in the hadith, وضع في الأرض بني في الأرض. It was placed upon earth or it was built upon earth. Both words. The Prophet ﷺ said Masjid al-Haram, it is Masjid al-Haram, the Kaaba. And we all know that the entire world was engulfed in water. And the first hillock of land that sprouted out was the Kaaba itself. And Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu asked the Prophet ﷺ which was the second. The Prophet ﷺ said it is Baytul Maqdis, Masjid Al-Aqsa. Kam kana baynahuma, O Prophet of Allah, what was the time gap and the period between the two? The Prophet ﷺ said, Arba'una sanatan, it is 40 years. So from the inception of this earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept Masjid Al-Aqsa a sacred land, a holy land. We see on the news and we hear day in and day out that what is happening to those holy land and its surroundings. We read the Quran, mashallah, day in and day out. In Juz 15, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa alladhi barakna hawla. Glory be to Allah and praise be to Him, the one who has taken His servant from Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. Alladhi barakna hawla. When it came to Masjid al-Aqsa, Allah Ta'ala added an additional quality, and that is the surroundings of Masjid al-Aqsa is also blessed. Mufassirin and ulama al-hadith also bears witness that what is the surroundings of Masjid al-Aqsa? Ulama say that it is the entire land of Sham. What is the land of Sham? It is not just Syria. The land of Sham is Palestine, it's Jordan, it's South Iraq, all those and the entire Syria. All this is part of the land of Sham, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alladhi barakna hawla, that Allah ta'ala has blessed this land. In another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Tuba li ahli Sham, that Glory and glad tidings for those that are living in Sham. Glad tidings for those that are living in Sham. Glad tidings for those that are living in Sham. The Sahaba said, O Prophet of Allah, what is this tuba? What is this glad tidings about? The Prophet ﷺ says, I see the angels of Rahman spreading their wings over this land. So it is dear to us as Muslims from the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and ayat of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has referred to Masjid Al-Aqsa and the land surrounding it over 70 times in the Quran, directly or indirectly. Directly or indirectly, 70 times. Zakaria alayhi salam is mentioned, Maryam alayhi salam is mentioned, Isa alayhi salam is mentioned, the miracles of Isa alayhi salam is mentioned, all happened in this land. Sulaiman alayhi salam, he revived the foundation of Masjid Al-Aqsa was in this land. Sulaiman alayhi salam ruled the entire world was in this land. The technology that we have today, mashallah, the brothers are carrying phones and we have our phones in our pockets, and sometimes the Maulana don't know that we're using our phone but it's in our pockets. And sometimes we don't know, we have an earpiece. These days the earpieces are so small we don't even know that it's in the ear. But this guy is, mashallah, he's reading his door and someone else is reading the door to him. We've been through the same channel, so we understand what you guys are going through anyway. But nevertheless, Sulaiman alayhi salam and his technology was so advanced that Allah Ta'ala allowed him to rule over the entire world from this land. It is said that 600,000 people would travel with Sulaiman alayhi salam. 600,000 people would travel, and not only travel, they would fly around the world. That the morning would be in one place and the evening would be on the other side of the world. In the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam, this was the advancement of his technology. The dome of Masjid Al-Aqsa at that time, Sulaiman alayhi salam had made it mentioned, it was so huge and large. We get excited by seeing our tall buildings, and we see Burj Khalifa and the Zamzam Tower, and we're all excited, and mashallah, it's so good. At that time it was so huge that when the sun would go after Zenith, after Zawal, the eastern side of the city would come under the shadow of the dome. And when the morning the sun would rise, the entire western side of the city would be under the shadow of the dome. This was the kingdom that Allah Ta'ala gave Sulaiman alayhi salam. It was from this blessed land. So my dear respected elders and brothers, the virtues of this land we can continue going on to. But the most important thing is that you and I, how do we draw close the love of this land? First and foremost is that we read the virtues. There are many ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. Listen to lectures of scholars about Masjid Al-Aqsa and the people that are around. Who are these people? These are the children of Anbiya alayhi salam. These are not ordinary people. These are the people that are specially chosen and selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It comes in a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that Allah ta'ala had chosen a special land, and it is the land of Sham. And Allah ta'ala has chosen the people within this land. That يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةَ لَا حِسَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا عَذَابٍ. That these are such people that their iman will be so strong and their amal will be so strong that they will enter Jannah without hisab, without reckoning, and without azab, without punishment. Now when you see what is happening in the land of Gaza, and you see how strong the iman is. A young boy, 7 to 8 years old, he comes live on a video and he tells the world that even if Jibreel alayhi salam comes to me today and asks me that what do I want, I will tell Jibreel, I don't want nothing from you. I don't want nothing from you. If Allah asks me, then I want something from Allah only. This is the iman. A father loses his child, takes it out from the rubble and lifts up this child to the heavens and says, Oh Allah, if you are happy with me in this condition, then I am also happy. This is the iman. This is for us to ponder that Allah Ta'ala has given us everything. Allah Ta'ala has, like Maulana was saying, Allah Ta'ala has given us all the facilities. And how grateful are we to Allah? That they have lost everything, yet they are saying, Oh Allah, if you are happy with us, we are happy. And this was the nurturing that was done by their scholars, the nurturing that was done by their elders, by their parents, and this is how they grew up. That everything you say, Alhamdulillah. Till now, we have, mashallah, we've been working in that region for over 4 years. In those 4 years, not once I ever heard a complaint from someone from there. Every time you ask, when it's a good moment, everything is going well, they will say Alhamdulillah. And when it's difficult time, they will say Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. Just from ala kulli hal, you will understand that there is something wrong. Then we have to dig out the details from them. Then let us know what is going on. It's not Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. Then afterwards they will tell us that this is the need, this is the situation. So this is the iman that we learn from those people of Gaza, from those people of Al-Aqsa. Those of you that have visited Masjid Al-Aqsa, you would notice that even the imam, he would be very casual with everyone. He would humble himself, he would sit outside Masjid Al-Aqsa and have tea with the people around. These are the qualities that you and I need to bring into our lives. And looking at the history of what is happening with Zionism and the torture that they are carrying out against the Muslims, my dear respected elders and brothers, at this very moment and time, just this morning, we got a message from one of the families there that was not in touch with us for over a month. Even those that were in the south of Gaza told us that it seems that they have moved on, they have passed on. There's no contact. Just this morning we received the message, Alhamdulillah, we are still alive. We have moved 4 camps now. Each camp that we had gone to was bombed out, we moved again, then we moved again. Finally, we managed to receive some network, we managed to regain ourselves. Alhamdulillah, we are still alive. But there are thousands out there that have moved on, that have passed on. One of our own volunteers that was giving out food and distribution, while he's giving out food to others, he's been shot in his leg. They tried to rush him to the hospital. Those that were trying to rush him, they were also stopped from going to the hospital. This is what the ayat of the Quran says, وَيُبْتِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Their own house is on fire. Their own house is on difficulty, but they would go out and help others. They would say, no, the others are in need more than I am in need. This is the spirit of Sahaba that we are seeing is being revived today, my dear friends. All these years we are reading in the books where a Sahabi is lying on the battlefield thirsty and another Sahabi comes and gives him water to drink. Ikramah bin Abi Jahl radiyallahu anhu and Haris bin Hisham radiyallahu anhu. These Sahaba, they have vowed, they have volunteered themselves that now whatever happens we will not return home until we pass away. And to the extent that when these Sahaba went to the Battle of Yarmouk, Battle of Yarmouk was taking place, going back in the history, I'm diverting a little, where Umar radiallahu anhu was set in the Masjid, and Ikramah bin Abi Jahl radiallahu anhu, Haris bin Hisham radiallahu anhu, they accepted Islam in the later stage after Fatah Makkah, in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But obviously those Sahaba, obviously those Sahaba that accepted Islam early, as-sabiqun al-awwalun min al-muhajirin wal-ansar, they were given priority, that they accepted Islam before Fatah Makkah. So the Prophet Umar radiallahu anhu kept the same principle ahead. So Bilal radiallahu anhu walks into the Masjid, Umar radiallahu anhu tells the Sahaba that move back, let Bilal come forward. Now these are leaders, they are leaders of Makkah. So it's hurting their dignity and their honor as well that we are the leaders of Makkah. People look upon us as high, dignified people. Why is Umar sending us back? Thereafter Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu walks into the Masjid. Umar radiallahu anhu says, make some space for Salman Farsi, let him come forward. And other Sahaba kept on walking until these leaders of Makkah ended up right by the door of the Masjid. So they stood up and they started asking themselves the question that what is happening? Why is Umar radiallahu anhu doing this to us? So they came up with an opinion. It said, it seems that Umar radiallahu anhu wants to teach us a lesson. And that is that you came in Islam later, so you remain where you are. It's right what he's doing, that he's giving preference to those Sahaba that came early in Islam, those Sahaba that supported the Prophet ﷺ from the beginning. But what will happen if in Akhirat the same thing happens? Look at the conscience of Sahaba. Those people in Gaza, mashallah, they are defending themselves. And they are defending the fort of Islam, and they are standing strong that we will not leave this place. They are told to leave. They are told to go to Egypt, and they are told to go to Jordan. They said, no, we will not leave, because if we leave, then we know that Masjid Al-Aqsa is at stake. When we went a few years ago to Jerusalem, we visited one house on a hillock right next to Masjid Al-Aqsa. They told us that this man, he was offered $50 million just to forsake his house. And he was offered a mansion in New York. They said, we'll give you $15 million. A small house, 2 bed, 1 kitchen, and a toilet. So we'll give you $50 million, you give up this house, and you go stay in a big mansion that we will give you for free in New York with all the comforts. He said, no, I will not take a penny from you, and I will not leave this house also. Why? He said, if I leave this house, your eyes is a Masjid Al-Aqsa. I will not sell my house to anyone just to save the sanctity and the sacredness of Masjid Al-Aqsa. These are the people, they're shops. In the aisles around Masjid Al-Aqsa, you'll find little shops. And their rental is in the thousands. These people are taking those shops and they're keeping it. They said, we will pay this rent, but we will not leave this place, because if we leave this place, tomorrow a person will come who will have his eyes on Masjid Al-Aqsa. To this extent, they are sacrificing. They're leaving their livelihood. They're leaving their comfort zone. They're leaving everything just to save this sacredness that belongs to the entire ummah. So my job and your job there. So for this, my dear respected students, children, we need to appreciate that they have given everything. And now a time has come when the tyrant has rose so mighty that now the tyrant wants to take their lives. Their children have been taken away, day by day. One youngster by the name of Mohammed 13 years old. 13 years old. He gives a story and he says that we heard the flights and those bomber drones were coming above the building. So my mother quickly packed up in the house and told me that take all your siblings out, take all your brothers and sisters out of the house. There are 7 of us. So I was the oldest, I'm 13 years old. I took all my brothers and sisters out. The youngest is 6 months old. We managed to leave the house. Just then the drone struck a bomb and the entire building was desecrated. My mom is under that rubble. I do not know how to take her out. He said, I went around looking for help. I do not know what to do. Afterwards it was announced that my mom has passed away. He said, it's been now over 50 to 60 days. I am looking after my 6 siblings myself. My 6 months old sister, I have to warm the milk and feed her. My other sister that is only 6 years old, we go out, we get water far away in a bucket and we bring that water not to drink, to wash our clothes. These are little children. This is one such story. There are thousands of such stories. There was one nurse, she had a 1-year-old child, so she wrote a letter to the child and said, oh my child, when you grow up, please read this letter of mine, because I do not know if you will live. The very next day, because it was dated, everything, the very next day, the mother and the child passes away and the letter remains. These are the people of Masjid Al-Aqsa. And they are saying, we don't want anything. All we want the world to know that when we were standing up for Masjid Al-Aqsa, where were the Muslims? So my dear respected students, there's a humble appeal to you. And the humble appeal to everyone out there, let us do something about it. Minimum we can do is speak about it. Talk to whoever we can. Don't say become foul and start, becoming a politician yourself. No. But minimum we can do is speak about humanity. Where is humanity gone? We have animal rights in our country. If a dog is hurt outside, we have animal rights. We have SPCA, and people will come. If a cat is hurt, we have animal rights. What about human beings being hurt? When that child in America, where a policeman put him down on the ground and then he lost his life, what happened? The whole world went on protesting. That how can a policeman take one person's life away like this? And everyone rose up, including those parties that are oppressing today. They're the ones who are also calling for human rights. But when it comes to the Muslims, our blood has become cheap. Why? Because we as Muslims, we have not valued Islam as we supposed to. Let us value our Islam, value our Quran, value our Deen, value our Salah. That if we show value to Islam and Deen, Allah Ta'ala will give us that value. إن الله يرفع بهذا القرآن أقواما ويضع به آخرين. It comes in a hadith that Allah Ta'ala lifts many nations through this Quran. That this Quran is a source of blessings for us. This Quran is a source of rahmat and mercy for us. That a child in Gaza, there is no anesthetic available, and the operation is being done. The child is reading Quran as anesthetic. 13-year-old child, a bomb comes on the building, and both sisters, one is 12 years old, one is 13 years old, they are stuck under the rubble for 4 days. After they were removed, they asked, what did you do for 4 days? So the elder one says, I was worried about my sister who was in the next room. I couldn't get to her. Her leg was stuck between the closets. So all I had to soothe her was by reciting the Quran. For 4 days I read the Quran, and Allah Ta'ala saved us because of the Quran. This is the Iman. Nevertheless, I was mentioning about Al-Aqsa bin Abi Jahl radiallahu anhu. So now the Sahaba started discussing that what if in Akhirat the same thing happens? That we are sent back. So they came to Umar radiallahu anhu after the gathering. They said, "Oh Umar, what you had done to us was rightfully so. That obviously priority will be given to those Sahaba that came first in Islam. But give us a solution, what do we do?" So Umar radiallahu anhu said that the solution is that now you dedicate your life only for Allah. Give your life for Allah. So 400 Sahaba from Makkah, who were the leaders of Makkah, they packed their bags and they all went and joined Khalid bin Walid, who was at that time in Yarmouk. In those days, near Jordan. So they heard that an army is coming that is 300,000 strong. 300,000 strong army is coming, and the Sahaba were only 30,000. So how are you going to clash? So Khalid bin Walid says that I know such people in this gathering that if they lift their hands to Allah, that there are such Sahaba, the Prophet ﷺ says, there are such people in my Sahaba that Allah Ta'ala has made that if they take a qasam upon Allah, Allah Ta'ala will make it happen. And for one of them was Bilal radiallahu anhu. Once Bilal radiallahu anhu comes to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he says, "O Prophet of Allah, the time of suhoor is done, stop eating." So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continued to eat. So again Bilal radiallahu anhu says, "O Prophet of Allah, the time of suhoor is done, stop eating." And sometimes, mashallah, we say azan taking deserved. In the UK, because in the summer the time was very short, तो लोगों ने कहा अजान के बाद जब तक मुअज्जिन कहे ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह खाते रहो. So anyway, then the Bilal radiallahu anhu said, "O Prophet of Allah, by the qasam of Allah, it is the time of suhoor is done, stop eating." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped. Then the Prophet said, "Oh Bilal, it was not the time of Zuhr, but because you took the qasam, Allah made it so." So Khalid bin Walid said, "I need 30 people to clash with 300,000 strong." How many? 30. 300,000 on the opposite side. So Sufyan radiallahu anhu said, "Oh Khalid, why don't you be fair and take 30 more? Take 60 people." 60, Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah says, "Why are you taking 60 to a death trap? They'll be thrown, you are taking them to a suicidal mission. 60 of them to clash with 300,000. How is this possible? Ye kaise hoga?" So Abu Ubaidah bin Khalid bin Walid said that these Sahaba are such that when they will lift their hands to Allah, Allah Ta'ala will not reject their hands. And I know their names. So Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah said, "If you know their names, then call them out." Khalid bin Walid called those Sahaba one by one. From there is Muaz bin Jabal, Abdullah bin Umar, Abdul Rahman bin Abi Bakr, and Dirar bin Aswad radiallahu anhu, and Ikramah bin Abi Jahl was one of them. Harith bin Hisham was one of them. They were called, and they had to clash with how much? 300,000. At that time, the Roman king thought that we have Jabla bin Ayham, he has an army of 60,000 Arabs, so let the Arabs fight with the Arabs, we don't have to do anything. That is the plan today. If we open our eyes and we read, see what's happening. Muslims are told to clash with Muslims. When Muslims will clash with Muslims, that is when the esteem of Muslims will be lost. The honor and dignity of the Muslims will be lost. When Genghis Khan decided to attack the Muslim world upon Iraq and everywhere else, obviously it was his children that attacked. But their attack was successful. Why? Because Muslims were fighting with Muslims. 1 million Muslims were killed in Iraq at that time. In 40 days, 1 million Muslims. Were living such a lavish life that the king of that time, the leader of the Banu Abbas, not all of them, many of them were good, but at that specific time, ulama have written that he would leave his palace for Eid Salah to go to the Eidgah. He would leave at the time of Fajr. And because of all the pomp and show and everything on the road, girls are there dancing, and there's music, and there's parties, and there's dishes, and there's food and everything, he would reach the Eidgah Isha time. That's how much of lavishness they went in. Luxury. When Muslims go into luxuries, this is what's going to happen. At that time, the dynasty of Spain was at its rise. Muslims were ruling Spain. They were leading the world in technology and everything. The best dentists, the best optometrists, everything they would find. When hospitals were established in Spain, 100 years later, the first government hospital was established in France. 100 years later. That's how far behind they were. But what happened? When dunya came in between, those same leaders and kings started fighting with each other. Muslim kings fighting with each other. To the extent that one king would go and bring the head, he would behead the corpse of the other king that has died, and he would tell his courtiers that remove the skin from his head, and he would pour wine in the corpse and drink that wine. Later he would put that corpse in his garden and put plants in it. Muslim kings were doing it. And that is when the adab of the whole fitna of the Mongols that had come. The Tatar had taken over. When Genghis Khan reached Bukhara, he told the people, the ulama and the scholars, he gathered together all of them. And he said, "I am the punishment sent by your Lord." There was a pride and takabur that he had. But ulama have written, this was the reality of the Muslims at that time. So when we won't wake up, when we won't hold steadfast to our deen, and we'll just ignore our salah as if it is something that is just to be ignored. We'll ignore our Quran as if it is something that is to be ignored. Chalo pad liya, nahi padha, koi baat nahi. No, my dear special brothers. When this will happen, that's when the Muslim Ummah will fall from the esteem of Allah. From the dignity that Allah Ta'ala has given us and the honor that Allah Ta'ala has given us, we'll reduce ourselves. That is why now for the people of Gaza, we have to make an effort. We have to worry. Nevertheless, let me finish the incident of Yarmouk. So they were stood in one line, 60 of the Sahaba. Jabal bin Ayyam, who had 60,000 Arabs with him, that they were not Muslims. So he said, why would we fight with these 60? We will destroy them in minutes. Just tell them to come to us, and we beg them. They should just beg us for some mercy and we'll be merciful to them. Khalid bin Walid said, first come and see how strong we are. It took them half a day to break the first step of 60. 60 Sahaba stood half a day repelling 60,000. After half the day, the Sahaba dispersed. Khalid bin Walid said, make groups of 6. When they made the group of 6, the entire day had passed and they would not defeat this group of 60 Sahaba. What was with them? Strength? It was the help of Allah that was with them. The dua that they done at the time of Tahajjud that was with them. The conquest of Badr, ulama say the secret of Badr was in the dua of Tahajjud of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma in tuhlik hadhihi al-isaba fala tu'bad abada. That Allah, today, if this little group of Muslims was to be destroyed, you will not be worshipped. Abu Bakr goes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, is enough, Allah has heard you." So don't underestimate du'as. As a young child also, we shouldn't underestimate our dua. Ad-du'a mukhul ibadah. Dua was the one that got the ship of Nuh alayhi salam sailing around the world. Dua. And don't underestimate your parents' du'as. Don't underestimate your ustad's du'as. That one dua of your parent can take you from here to there. And one curse or one evil or one ill feeling of your parent or your ustad can ruin your life. That is why they say earn the du'as of your elders. Now, one is to ask, mere liye dua karo, mere liye dua karo. One is to earn the dua. That do so well in your studies, do so well in your khidmat, towards your parents, towards your obedience, towards your asatidha, that they give you the dua. Don't underestimate dua, and especially at the time of tahajjud, the dua that is made. Ulama say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Qur'an al-Fajr kana mashhuda. The Qur'an that you recite at the time of Fajr is witnessed by the angels. What does that mean? That even the dua that you make around that time is also witnessed by the angels. So make dua for who? For the people of Gaza, for the children of Gaza, for the Muslims around the world. That Allah, they are suffering today. How difficult it is. I fell down from a motorbike 3 days ago. And I scraped my hand in such a way for half an hour. I was in extreme pain. That's when it occurred to me that imagine those children that are going through the burns, 3rd-degree burns in Gaza at this moment. How much of pain they are going through. The entire body is burned. And they're still alive. How much of pain they are going through? What reward Allah Ta'ala will give them on the day of Qiyamah? How great will be their status in the eyes of Allah on the day of Qiyamah? That for a Muslim, even one thorn pricks him, it is a means of reward, it is a means of raising his status in Akhirah. These innocent children, what have they done? Have they hurt anyone? Have they spoken against any political party? Have they gone and snatched bread and food from someone's mouth? What have they done? They done nothing. They are only the targets. Why? Because they are Muslims and they are in the blessed land of Masjid. Today, the evil forces, they have united to remove Muslims from that region. All the Muslims must go. It is greater than the second Nafwa. That no Muslim should live around Masjid Al-Aqsa, no Muslim should be in Jerusalem, no Muslim should be in Madrassa. Everyone should move away. And that is not the plan. The plan is greater than that. The plan is to draw up a map right up to Medina. To the extent that now there are being lobbies that are passing, they are putting in applications in the court, in the world court, to say that Muslims must pay compensation. The Saudi government must pay compensation to the Israeli government, which they say they are Yahud. They're not Yahud. The Yahud that are in the UK and other countries, they say that they're doing this on our name, it is not us. This is some shayateen, this is some shaitani force. Even the Jews are saying, you're doing it on our name, it's not us. You are some evil force that you have been driven to slaughter mankind. They are putting an application in the court saying the Saudi government must pay compensation to the Israeli government. Why? Because the Prophet Mohammed took them out from Khaybar now. To this extent. Now they're taking selfies, they are allowed to go into Medina, they're taking selfies and they say, look, we are back. We are back in Khaybar. We are back here. And the plan has been drawn up right up till Medina, that they want all this land which belongs to the Muslims. So a great favor, the people of Gaza and the people of Masjid Al-Aqsa and the people of Jerusalem and the West Bank, they are doing a great favor by remaining there like pegs. We will live till we die. We will not move from here. As firm as we can. And that is where you and I have to come into the picture to support that cause. We have to support it in every way possible. Support till the end. And how are you going to support? Number one, I mentioned was dua at the time of Tahajjud. Number two, mashallah, you are all qaris of Quran, you are reciting Quran. Every ayat of the Quran that you recite, read with the intention that, oh Allah, is ayat ke zariye jo main padh raha hoon, Masjid Al-Aqsa ko liberation de de. Oh Allah, Masjid Al-Aqsa ko Yahudiyon se bacha de. With that intention, you read the Quran. Read the Quran with the intention for the Isa alayhi salam of the Shuhada. See the strength in your Quran. I don't know if the ulama have started here in Leicester, mashallah. बहुत सारी मसाजिद ने ये शुरू किया that we start Quran Khani. Not sitting together, but अपने तौर पर, लेकिन एक WhatsApp के ऊपर पूरे groups बने हुए हैं only for Masjid Al-Aqsa, only for the people of Gaza. कि कुरान खानी शुरू की जाए, एक कुरान खत्म हो फिर दूसरा कुरान खत्म हो तो तीसरा कुरान. Like that is going on. Alhamdulillah, one group they went over 200 Qurans finished. सिर्फ Masjid Al-Aqsa के लिए दुआ. That's one way of supporting. And the other way is to support, to change the narrative that is out there. Today, alhamdulillah, there's so many people who are in the favor of the people of Palestine. This was not there in the past. 6 months ago, it was unheard of. So many non-Muslim countries are now in favor of Palestine. Why? Because they've seen the determination, they've seen the evil forces, how evil they are. They have seen there's no regard for humanity. They have seen it was all talk. The true colors have come out. So this is the time we need to take on that cause as well. Lobby wherever we can. I don't want to say go into fight and cause a chaos on the streets. No. Speak to your local communities. As students, ask your teachers some questions. That what do we do? How can we help? We had one school in the UK, in Leicester, in the UK, the teachers initially were speaking for Israel, speaking about Israel, and then when they realized that all the children are getting upset, they became pro-Palestine. बच्चों की खातिर वो pro-Palestine है, alhamdulillah. And obviously we support them in every way possible. We as Aliana Humanity Welfare, there's so many other organizations, we try to arrange containers to take right from the borders. And from the borders also, containers are going through. There's a rumor that is going around, I don't send anything. No. There has to be pressure from all sides. So when those containers build up to 300, 400 containers at the border, that's when the pressure builds, and then they open the gate. They allow 30, 40 to go through, and then they stop. Then after a few days they open again, they allow another 30, 40 to go through, then they stop again. But if there's no containers at the border, there's no pressure. And Musliman ko support nahi kar raha hai, why should we open the border? So there's so many ways of supporting this cause that we have to make sure that we are on the right side of the cause and not on the wrong side of the cause. Because remember, just like how those children are suffering, alhamdulillah, on the day of Qiyamah, I don't think they will be questioned. La hisabu alayhim wa la adab. We could be questioned. So what did you do? Alhamdulillah, those that have the local citizenship, if your passport allows you to travel to Masjid Al-Aqsa, you should travel. Make groups, speak to the imams of the masjid, speak to the community. In the UK till now, youngsters are going to Masjid Al-Aqsa. Even in this current situation in the moment, they're going. They'll stop them at the airport for 6 hours, 7 hours. They say, we don't mind, we'll wait. But we want to go to Masjid Al-Aqsa so that our footprint is there. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hazrat Umayma radiallahu anha, asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, tell us about Baytul Maqdis. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that go to Masjid Al-Aqsa and perform your salah. That if you perform salah in Masjid Al-Aqsa, you'll get the reward of performing 1,000 salah, according to one narration. And the famous narration, 500 salah. So she said, O Prophet of Allah, she made it easy for you and I. O Prophet of Allah, what if we can't go there, what should we do? The Prophet said that send oil to burn that lantern. What does that mean? Support the cause in whichever way possible. May Allah Ta'ala give me, you and one and all the understanding. There's so many other things to say, but time is short, and we make dua for those shuhada that have passed away. Make dua for them. Those that are alive, Allah Ta'ala grant them afiyah. Allah Ta'ala protect them. And those that are there standing their ground, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grant them strength. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grant His help and nusr. That our reciting our Quran here, our making our dua here, the nusr is coming down there. May Allah Ta'ala give me, you and one and all the ability of our